97% of people just click approve on every single permission prompt they see. Starting August 14, 2026, Claude Code is defaulting to auto mode instead of asking every time. Here's what auto mode actually is and why Anthropic made the switch. The prompt was supposed to be a real check. Claude asks, a human decides. But developers had already found ways around the friction. Nearly half had written their own broad rules that auto-approve entire categories of commands, and 62% had used a full bypass mode or just click Don't Ask Again on shell commands. The safety net already had holes in it before Anthropic changed anything. Here's what that looks like in practice. Claude asks permission. You glance at it and click Allow. It asks again a minute later, a different command, the same click. Multiply that by dozens of times in a single coding session, and the prompt stops being a decision. It becomes a reflex. Auto mode isn't Claude Code just doing whatever it wants. It's a machine learning classifier that sits between Claude and every tool call, checking each one for things like data exfiltration, destructive operations, or privilege escalation before it happens. It reads the same project context Claude does, so an instruction like never force push in your Claude.md steers the classifier too. And critically, it doesn't override you. Any explicit deny rule you've set blocks the action before the classifier even sees it, and any ask me first rule still forces a prompt. And it gets worse the longer you work. Early in a session, human reviewers caught about 17% of dangerous actions. After 50 or more prompts in the same session, that fell to just 5%. People get tired. The classifier doesn't. So what actually convinced Anthropic to flip the default? A controlled experiment, over 1,000 paid professional testers, working through real coding tasks laced with genuinely dangerous commands. Human reviewers, doing exactly what permission prompts ask you to do, caught just 13.6% of them. Auto mode's classifier caught 89% of the same dangerous commands. Across the whole test, humans missed and approved commands the classifier blocked 800 times. The classifier let through only 6 that a human later flagged. It wasn't just a lab result. Looking at real production sessions at the highest severity levels, manually approved sessions contained serious, unintended harm more than twice as often as sessions running in auto mode. Anthropic also brought in outside red teamers, Apollo Research, to throw synthetic attacks at the classifier, and after hardening it, the miss rate dropped from 12% down to 7%. In a separate firm, Trajectory Labs ran 720 prompt injection attacks against Claude in auto mode, and not one succeeded. For comparison, the same style of attack succeeded against a competing tool's auto-review mode almost 6% of the time. This isn't hypothetical. Adobe is already running auto mode by default on its merchandising pages, Neuro on its research agents, and Gartner Health rolled it out across 550 employees. Payroll company Gusto reported the classifier actually blocks something in about 10% of sessions, which means it's doing real work, not just rubber stamping everything through either. Starting August 14th, auto mode becomes the default for every new session on Pro, Max, and Team plans. If you've already set your own default, you'll get a one-time prompt asking if you want to switch, and if your organization manages your settings, nothing changes without them. Enterprise, the API, and cloud platforms like Bedrock stay opt-in for now, with the same default expected within about a month. If you already use Claude Code, here's what actually changes. You can switch back to manual prompts anytime in the CLI with Shift-Tab, or from the mode drop-down elsewhere. If you're on a team, the classifier starts out trusting only your working directory and your repo's own remotes. So tell about the rest of your infrastructure, your source control org, your cloud buckets, your internal domains, so it stops flagging routine work as suspicious. And you're never locked out of control. An explicit deny rule blocks an action no matter what the classifier or even Claude itself wants to do. And if you want a human checkpoint before every push or pull request specifically, an ask rule guarantees you get one. Here's the uncomfortable part of this story. For years, the permission prompt felt like the safety mechanism, the moment a human stood between an AI agent and a mistake. Anthropic's own numbers say that moment mostly wasn't working, 97% approval, permission fatigue setting in within an hour, real harm slipping through at more than double the rate of the machine that replaced it. That doesn't mean blind trust in AI is suddenly fine. The classifier still isn't perfect, and you can and should tell it what your infrastructure actually looks like. But the headline is real. The click you weren't really thinking about may have been the least safe part of your workflow. This has been an AI Briefing Special Report. Follow for the AI news that actually matters explained. See you next time.